In this video, I'll be developing and building the shell, the kind of structure for my flight simulator. This is the fourth video of a multi-part series. If you haven't watched the previous videos, you might want to go back and review the first few. At bare minimum, go to video 3 and just see how I inserted the canvases and the RC profiles. I think that'll be the most helpful if this is your first video. Go ahead and watch those and come back to this one. A lot of you have been asking what the purpose of this CAD model is. Of course, I'm not going to 3D print an entire simulator, though they have 3D printed boats and stuff like that. I'm going to use this model I have to build the structure and to plan the edges and the support structure. This simulator model will both let me plan ribs and the structure of my simulator. It'll be a place that I can design everything, and it will also be useful for if I ever want to do any simulations, just to make sure my screens all work and everything fits kind of together, make sure that my projector will work properly in the room, so I can design things around it too. Without further ado, let's get to the video. What I first need to do, I think, is start a sketch to just measure the position of all of these little lines. So let's go from the side, create a sketch, and then from the firewall to number 2 will be however much. From the firewall to number 3 will be however much. Then use all those dimensions, put them in a comment so that I have them. This is awesome. I'm excited. As I always am, but especially excited right now. So I'm just making sketches, making sure they're horizontally constrained. So what I did was I just drew a line from the 2 up here to the 2 down here. Now I can take a dimension from right here to right here, and I know for sure that's where it goes. I'm just going from here to here is 8.39, perfect. I'm actually rounding all of these to 2 decimal places. 0.1 inch is this much. I feel like a makeup blogger because they always do that. Not really that big of a difference. And I'm moving things 0.01 inch. If I was designing, say, throttle or something, I would care about 0.1 inch, but I'm not. This is just basically rounding it a little bit to make sure that I can work with these numbers easily. Right here we have our dimensions. It's even fully constrained, I think, which is pretty epic. Oh, it's not. Something that I didn't think about that I can take advantage of is that I can get dimensions right here. I can easily shrink this line to where it hits the cowling. We could even make it coincident to this. Boom. And then we could do this where it's coincident here. And then what we can do is we can just take dimensions here. These are all driven dimensions because we already defined them. And then write in all of our, I want to call them XY coordinates, because there's like how far from firewall and then how big. In the comment section, I can go res1, or like the first profile is negative 32.15. Then I can do res2 is negative 21.6. Res 3 is 8.4. This one is actually positive because it's after firewall, because I think it's more logical from a weight and balance standpoint. So I can post this comment, and now it's here. You can see all of the sections right here. Hooray. I can go and make my different profiles. So I think that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to make res 1 through res 5. And I really hope I'm pronouncing that right.
It is.
Res. Okay, these plans are in Slavic, so res means section. I guess I just used it because it was really quick to type. I'm going to make an offset plane from the firewall right here. So negative 32.15. Perfect. There's a plane right here. Negative 21.6, 8.4, 70.2. And last but not least, we have 115.85. One more thing I'm going to do with this sketch is I need to add the bottom line right here where we align all the canvases off of. We're going to align the canvases so that the middle of the simulator is here, the side is right here, but there's a little line right here that goes through that you can tell where everything is. I'm gonna do one manually just to see which line we're going off of, and then we'll go off of that line and should be good. I'm gonna make the line right here, and we're going to align everything off of this line. Align off of the line. We can do one more thing. We can get a dimension from here to the origin, which is kind of helpful. I'm going to make a comment of that. Speaking of comments, if you have anything you'd like to tell me, put them in the below. Okay, we have all of these planes, but what we don't have is canvases for them. So we can go over to the front plane and insert res 1. Upload. Select files. 0, shell. Perfect. Voila! I really want to upload all of my files to Fusion 360 just so we have them in the cloud and I can go back and reuse them if I want to. I'm going to insert a canvas using res 1 and then insert it where res 1 goes and scale it up a certain amount. 15 inches. Wow, that's almost exact. What I did here was make a new sketch that is just this line. So now that this sketch is only this line, it won't be as confusing, and I can add all my canvases. Hooray! What I'm going to do is just loosely insert them all, and then calibrate them, and then edit them all. So, should be pretty intuitive there. I'm actually going to rename all of these planes too while I'm at it, so that I just don't get confused. I don't know I'm still using res. I can clearly use English, but this one is just so much easier to type. Now what we can do is we can calibrate these. Remember this old sketch, we can actually go to the measure tool, measure this, copy this to clipboard, and then use that as our calibration. Calibrate from here to here is however much we said. That's the first one, it's calibrated, it's all scaled up, good to go. Then we can come back and we can just re-edit them so that our little origin point is right where the little origin point goes. Now if I just show you these canvases, you can kind of see how it's a little bit starting to take shape. You can kind of see a simulator at the end of the tunnel. Just make sure that the little line right here is, that this little horizontal line is where the horizontal line would go on the, this plan right here, this line right here. I think this line is so helpful for aligning everything. So if you can find a plan with that line there, should be good to go. Should we do the grand reveal? Ready? Plane 1, boom. Section 2, boom, 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 boom. And then, watch this. If I go with the side profile, boom. You can kind of just slightly see it. It's starting to exist if you squint. Now I can make sketches from all these canvases, and you'll see it start to take shape even more. Here's the sketchy part of this video. Make sure you sketch on the right plane, otherwise you have to recalibrate it and stuff, and it's a little bit annoying. But you can do it if you go to your sketch and say, redefine sketch plane. So you should be able to re-put it somewhere if you do it wrong. I'm gonna see if I can't make just a spline, a point, and an end point. I could even try just making a spline and an end point, but I don't want to live on the edge today. It's still early. Actually, should we? What I'm gonna do is have a spline line here, a spline line here, and a spline line here. Gotta love the way that rolls off the tongue. Then just adjust these with the handles so that it kind of fits into this canvas. One of the things we want to make sure we have is a line from the top right here to the bottom right here, so it's a closed off profile. And the other thing we want to make sure is that this line right here is horizontally constrained to the origin. That'll make sure that it's right above it instead of like a little to the left or to the right. It'll just make sure it's all good to go. We'll also make sure the bottom is horizontally constrained to the origin. You can now see that this is a closed profile, which means that we can use it. Go on to profile 2, create a sketch. This is on profile 2. Yeah, we're good. Okay, we're going to do the same thing on this plane and all of the rest of the planes. I thought I was in the clear, but then I realized this happened. Someone took a bite out of my Cessna. Dang it. I really want the handles to be horizontally constrained right here, because I don't want there to be a mountain where the two halves join together, and I certainly don't want there to be like a little divot, like a heart. I do love Cessnas, but I don't want a seam in the middle where they join together. So I'm going to horizontally constrain this line right here, and that'll make sure where they join is perfectly flat. This does complicate things though, because now that it's constrained, I can't move it as easily, and it's a little bit painful too. In Photoshop, you can separate these two handles so that you can move one to affect one of the sides and then the other to change the other side. But in Fusion 360, you move one and both of them move. So I'm not really sure if that is possible to overcome. Let me do some Googlage. Dang it. So Fusion 360 hasn't come up with Bezier tool, like where you can move both handles individually, but they do have the spline tool like I'm using right now. So yeah, if you affect one, you affect both. That's just life, I guess. I'm sure I could go into like Inkscape, take this profile, and then insert it as an SVG, and then use that. But I really want to have this parametric, and so I can edit everything later. This is throwing off my groove. Oh! So, something I don't have to do actually is I don't have to make sure that this bottom spline is horizontally constrained, because I'm just gonna chop off the bottom anyways. I won't have to have it. So that makes this pretty a walk in the park, kind of. I just need to make sure the top one is horizontally constrained, at least just a little bit, so that it has a nice seamless transition. You can just kind of feel that there is a Cessna in the room. I don't make the rules here. I think that this is an upgrade. What I can do right here is loft these together, and I'll actually just do it right now, super quick to show you. But if I just use the loft command, put these together, boom, that's already a section of our simulator that's done. Something else I'm gonna do, I'm gonna experiment a little bit with this, is go to loft, but I also want to use a guideline. I'm gonna use this as a rail actually, the only problem is that this doesn't touch both of the profiles. It looks like one of these is slightly off up here, then slightly off down here. So that means that I just need to move this sketch down a little bit. That's a good idea. Boom, why didn't I think of that? We're gonna go to the sketches and make sure that they are constrained. I made a little mistake. But basically, I made these profiles completely disregarding where the top actually should be. So what I'm gonna go and do is go back and basically shift some of these up, but basically just take the endpoint and stick it to this side right here. To do that, I'm going to use the intersect function. So I'm going to take this profile right here, and then we're going to do an intersection. So wherever these intersect, there will be a little dot. And there is a dot right here and a dot right here. Now I can select this whole profile, I think, and then just move it down to where it hits there. And then I'll take this singular dot and then just make it coincident to here. That will mess up some of my sketch geometry, so I'll just kind of have to go back and interpolate a little bit. If we look back at the profile we're using versus the profile we used initially, this side profile that we confirmed is correct, there are a few gaps right here. These don't exactly touch. So we're just gonna make sure that we fix that we're good to go. Now I can just go through profile 3 and 5 and make sure they are coincident to this line right here. It's probably actually a good thing I came in and did this, because some of my profiles actually, now that I look at them, look a little wonky. The thing I like about parametric design is that you can always fix your mistakes, or usually, I guess. This is kind of like the sectional charts where you have the mountains with the little squiggles for each 100 feet or whatever, and some of them are closer together. I guess it kind of looks like that, but you can kind of just feel its presence. I don't know. But let's try that loft again. This is just an experimental loft. We have to like file paperwork for the real deal. It's just a practice run though, don't worry. So loft right here, and we can go from this profile to this profile, and we can even use the guidelines. Let's see if the rails work. This is really exciting. Rail is not smooth. Do you care if they're smooth? Are you measuring their smoothness with a ruler? Turn off chain selection, so it only has this one. Beautiful. And then, wow. Whoa. Okay, so you'll see from the top, it doesn't really look that pretty, but I think what I might be able to do is use the top profile, but then I have to go through and, fix all of those. But what I think I can do is get there and then kind of like use this profile. Of course, Rail misses the profile. Rail misses the profile. Everyone's so angry at me, but I swear I'm just trying to do my best. Yeah, we got that going for us. Now I think what we could do is just expand the sketches a little bit so they kind of just hit the edge of the rail, and then we should be good. But yeah, basically we just want to have 3 rails, one on top, one on bottom, one on the side, so that it kind of just knows where to go in life, what to do. Or I can edit the top frame and then have it that way. So I'm not really sure what to do. Whatever I'm going to do, it's going to be awesome though. So remember that. Now I'm going to go back with the profiles and do yet another project. This project is going to be from the top. What I'm actually going to do is pin intersect to the toolbar just really quickly, because I know I'm going to use it a lot in the next few seconds. So I'm going to pin it and I can unpin it later. I'm going to make a copy of the top sketch. Haha! And then make a new sketch. Then just paste everything, maybe? That is pretty awesome. Let's make sure that it lines up. It does. That's cool. You can just copy stuff from another sketch. Who would have thunk? This is the top modified profile. So what I can go ahead and do is make sure to basically put these coincident to each other. Intersection point right here can be coincident with this. So then those are tight, those are buddies. And then we can do the same thing with the other profiles just to make sure that everything is going my way. Now again, we can just apply this intersection to all of these faces. So there's an intersection here, there's an intersection here, and voila. Now we can just make this a modified friend of ours and do this intersection point right here, make it be friends with this, and then over here, then this little intersection guy over here is going to be coincident to this. So that's basically just making it so that these all hit this modified profile so that the loft command knows where to go. You can see that we have all of these points where this intersects. Right here it intersects. Woohoo! Right here it does. Here it doesn't, which is my bad. And I can go ahead and fix that right here. Oh, I can edit sketch, but perfect. There we go. So it's kind of cool. You can see that there's just an ever so slight difference between this profile right here and the top profile. We can even show you right here. It's probably an inch about. So you'll see that it's not too big of a deal. It's just a little bit, and even back here it's even less of a difference. We can even measure from here to here, these little dots, here to here. This is 0.4 inches. For all you metric people, that's about this much, so it's not at all. So with the shell, I'm not having it to the nearest millimeter. I'm gonna have it within, I just want it within an inch or two. So 0.4 inches is right here, so that definitely is noticeable. It's about the size of like my mouth or something. What I could do instead of this would be just to move this out a little bit, and I might do that because once it approaches like an inch or an inch and a half, it starts messing up a little bit of the things. So I'm gonna actually just shift this one a little bit and then shift maybe this one just to get it roughly where it wants to be. And then I think we'll be good. I think there are gonna be a few loft errors just because the profiles won't meet exactly or stuff like that. So it won't be perfect, but I think it'll be okay. The windshield is gonna be really tricky because it's a really weird shape. It's kind of like a cylinder kind of, and then there's like a hoop up there. So I think what I'll have to do is just kind of have something, extrude it along a path or something, or loft it, and then get the things up there. I might have to even go to an actual like Cessna and get some dimensions because it looks like it's going to be a gnarly trick. Disclaimer, the back half right here probably won't be accurate, but that's okay. So I'm just going to test the loft commands. We have profile 1 through 5. We're just going to go ahead and get those all crack-a-lackin'. So now we can see we don't want chain selection because that's evil, but we can see that the top rail works. Let's see if the bottom one does too. It does. So on this one, the first section, everything is good to go. Our 3 main points, let this be perfect. So this is actually a good loft to do. So that one is all awesome, good to go. We would do it right now, but I'm gonna do it in a second. Now from 2 to 3, no, don't revolve it, that would be hideous. Go to loft. Let's see. The rails, I don't think are gonna work here. Yeah, the rail isn't smooth, it's freaking out. Really doesn't know what to do. So the top half failed, but the bottom half, let's see. The bottom rail works. Then just another check from the top, just to get it on paper. This rail works as well. So this one is 2 out of 3. If we were to just have this, it would look pretty good, except this part right here. So yeah, gonna work on making this a smooth profile just so it lofts better. Now profile 3 to 4, the top one past the bottom one is gonna fail. Yeah, it's so we got to make sure that this bottom one fixes, and the top one I believe is good too. No, the top one is very, very bad. This one we got to fix. Now profile 4 to 5. Profile 4 to 5. Yeah, it's missing the profile and the rail's not smooth. So the top fails, the bottom I think might actually make it. Yep, the bottom made it. Let's see how the side does. The side made it. Or from the top view made it. Awesome. Here are our results. I would put this in a beautiful spreadsheet, but I don't want to. Just gotta fix profiles 2 through 3, the top half, 4 through 5 top half, then the bottom half for 3 through 4 and 4 through 5. I can go in, project geometry, get a sketch, but then smoothify it. So I really don't know why it won't let me do straight edges, because I think it would work in real life where you just have a loft and something. It's okay, I'm flexible. Having sharp edges really confuses the loft tool. The loft tool, I guess, would have to figure out where from the straight edge to kind of curve. It would stress the machine out. So yeah, what I'm gonna do now is make a bunch of straight lines, kind of, but actually curve them, so it tricks the machine into thinking they're curved. So we're gonna start a new sketch. This one's going to be just like top modified profile. This one's going to be side modified profile. We're going to project this all. So this will project onto this new sketch, so we have everything as a reference. But I'm gonna make everything on this actually a construction line. Haha, got him. Right now I'm basically making a simplified side profile. The side profile will let me follow the curve roughly, so that I get the rough shape of the cowling. The cowling doesn't really have to be 100% realistic. I do want to have a cowling though, because I want to be able to look over my real cowling and use that as a reference point and use it to fly and aviate. Those are the same thing, but I don't care. You'll see right here that I'm matching this geometry pretty closely, in fact. It's only until I zoom in that you realize these aren't very close to each other. Even if we quickly go from point to point and then measure their distance, it is 0.012, and again, 0.01 isn't that much. If we go back to our canvases, we'll even see that we are well within the line I was even going off of. So we are all good to go there. And then we just need to check that this is all good to go. This curve looks pretty good. You can't even really tell it's there. And so now we're gonna finish sketch. We should now be able to use these two profiles with a rail right here. And we can. It follows this line we set for it. This now completes our second loft. Now if we use all our rails, we'll notice that this profile is perfect. We can even use this side profile over here. Now we have two sections. We just need two more. Let's see if we can't just do a spline like this. I actually want this unhidden. And then here and here. This one we're not going to pay too much attention to because we're actually going to cut the floor off of the Cessna 172. You'll see right here with the canvases, cabin height measurements. The floor is right here, so we won't be paying too much attention to underneath the Cessna 172. Let's try a loft now. And it fell for it. We just made it slightly curvy, and what do you know? It worked. Now all we need to do is get the top profile and have it follow this profile over here. Sweet, we just have 3 more little X's and we're almost good to go. We're gonna project the start point and the end point of this line right here for the tops from the top looking sketch. And then we're gonna make a spline from here to here and try to match this the best we can. There's not too much of a curve here, so it should be pretty easy. This is the top loft profile. Profile 3 to profile 4. We're just gonna test this real quick. And it works. I'm gonna see if I can't also make the center line a rail. If I can't make the center line a rail, I'll just basically press pull the edge until it's at the center line and then intersect at the center line. I think that's a little bit of a more sloppy way to do it, so I'm gonna try to avoid that. Here's another section of our 172. I'm gonna have to level with you. The windshield is gonna be really hard to model accurately. I'm gonna look at a lot of dimensions, get dimensions from there, and then place the windshield basically on top of this and cut and kind of tweak this around the windshield the best I can. Last but not least, we have this profile over here. We just need to fix this part right here and the little bottom part right here. So we'll go to side loft profile. I'm gonna do the same thing here where I just create a spline from here, the middle point to here, and then we're going to adjust these until we have it all good to go. Hey, it worked. Okay, this is the last loft I'm going to do for now. It looks like we're all good to go. Wow, that was a journey, and I'm glad I could share it with you. So right here's our draft. The only thing we need right here is just this little bit of the cowling, but I think we'll make that in another way. It's not critical. And now I'm going to loft out the little sections. 1, 2, 3, 4. And a cool tip I just learned a few days ago is if you right click, drag up, it'll repeat your last action, just super quick. I think this is the best version I've made so far. I want to do a little sneak peek over here. I'm going to mirror this over the plane. And here's what the cockpit would look like. I'm going to say that this is a lot better than version 1, version 2, version 3, and version 4. It still needs improvement, but this is a good place we can go. This looks a lot like a Cessna 172, I'm gonna say. You can tell there are a few little wrinkles if you look closely, but you can tell that this looks like a simulator. Or I'm actually gonna say that. We got the cowling going on all properly. We have these two profiles are definitely good. This one is good. This one actually has so much space in it that we're actually not quite sure if this profile is good, because there could be a profile in between this that's the same size. You'll notice we have a little bit of space right here, and we can make that ourselves by just kind of extruding and filleting if we want. I'm gonna leave this for now. That'll be one of our final features. But I'm really excited about this. So here it is. Here's my, for now, okay, Cessna 172.